Hello, everybody. David Shuster here. Americans are facing more stock market turmoil and economic chaos thanks to this.
President Trump angry over a disappointing jobs report, firing a Labor Department official who releases the data.
That's right. Donald Trump, in his infinite wisdom, fired the nonpartisan head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because her agency delivered the latest facts about the U.S. economy.
Government data showed 73,000 jobs were added to the U.S. economy last month, fewer than expected. The numbers for May and June were revised downward. President Trump on Friday explaining why he fired Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntyre.
I believe the numbers were phony, just like they were before the election, and there were other times. So you know what I did? I fired her. Right. And you know what? I did the right thing.
The Trump action immediately caused a stock market plunge.
Dow closing down 542 points, all major indexes showing losses.
And never mind the financial wipeout on Wall Street, Trump's move is also coming with a political cost. Erica McIntyre was confirmed a year ago by an overwhelming bipartisan Senate vote, 86-8. J.D. Vance voted for her. Democrats and Republicans are blasting Trump for trying to bury basic economic facts and data.
Donald Trump has made clear he wants to politicize those statistics.
If the president is firing the statistician because he doesn't like the numbers, but they are accurate, then that's a problem.
Now, if it was just fired because the president or whoever decided to fire the director just did it because they didn't like the numbers, they had to grow up.
The president ought to grow up, said Republican Tom Tillis. Unfortunately, with each passing day of more Trump harm to the U.S. economy, the president is responding like a 5-year-old who cannot get his way. He keeps erupting with childish tantrums. The latest meltdown came after a weak jobs report signaled the worst 3 months labor stretch since the pandemic.
That disappointing jobs report, just 73,000 jobs added last month, unemployment ticking up to 4.2%. And the shocker, numbers for May and June revised sharply down, losing 258,000 jobs combined.
It's not the statistician's fault if the numbers are accurate and that they're not what the president had hoped for.
And even a former head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics said the commissioner has virtually nothing to do with the collection or reporting of the data. William Beach served as the Bureau's commissioner during Donald Trump's first term.
I don't think there's any grounds at all for this firing, and it really hurts the statistical system. It undermines credibility.
The president said that the BLS commissioner rigged these numbers.
Yeah.
What do you think?
There's no way for that to happen. The commissioner doesn't do anything to collect the numbers. The commissioner doesn't see the numbers until Wednesday before they're published. I was commissioner, and I was sometimes locked out of the process of actually, where the people were working in the building. So there's no way for doing that.
There's no way for a commissioner to rig the numbers. But Donald Trump doesn't usually engage in facts, just conspiracy theories to try and explain away any news he doesn't like. And the news here is that the government's own data is beginning to confirm what mainstream economists have been saying about Donald Trump's policies all along. Erratic policy that creates uncertainty, depresses growth, and tamps down job creation. And tariffs raise prices. As economist Paul Krugman writes in a Substack titled "Trump is Getting Desperate," quote, Trump has been betting that he's smarter than economists warning about the downsides of his policies. After all, they're all at Marxist institutions like Goldman Sachs, and he may try to order the statistical agencies to report better news, but nobody will believe it. Analysts also point out previous jobs numbers on occasion pleased Donald Trump.
The facts of the matter are that each time the jobs numbers have come out, and when they've sometimes been revised, they've not either benefited or been bad for Trump. They've been both. I mean, this is the same bureau and the same commissioner that he was lauding when good numbers came out, and now the bad numbers are coming out. He's firing them. And I think one thing that really worries me is that this is what you see in autocracies. This is what you see in emerging markets that don't have rule of law, that don't have democratic governments. You see the firing of officials that people don't like. You see leaders closing themselves off to the truth.
And it never ends well. In Greece, not long ago, the government faked deficit numbers for years, contributing to a debilitating debt crisis that required several rounds of international bailouts. In China, authorities manipulated data to hit growth targets mandated by Beijing, forcing analysts and policymakers around the globe to find alternative measures to evaluate the Chinese economy. And most famously, there is Argentina. For more than 10 years, not that long ago, Argentina's government systematically understated inflation figures, eventually causing the international community to stop relying on Argentina's data. The loss of faith drove up Argentina's borrowing costs, worsening a debt crisis that ultimately led to the country's debilitating default. And keep in mind, Donald Trump's efforts to cook the books at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is just one action of many that have horrified economists and analysts.
All of the things that this president is doing, from politicizing the Fed to the on-off again tariff wars to this firing, are just corroding trust in the U.S. That's one of the reasons why gold prices are so high. It's one of the reasons why every single time we do a treasury bond auction, you see fewer and fewer foreign investors wanting to buy. It has a cumulative effect, and we will feel it at some point.
Trump's behavior might be comical were it not so deeply corrosive. The president flings accusations of fakery, fires the messenger, then poses as a purveyor of candor. That is the modus operandi of authoritarianism. Trump cannot tolerate what he dislikes, so he obliterates it. Once again, Donald Trump is playing with fire. And what took decades to build, including America's standing as the safest place in the world to invest, is now getting burned down by Donald Trump in days. Trump's move is tanking the markets and causing more economic chaos. And once again, Trump scams masquerading as governance are hurting all of us. By the way, the lone liberal on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov, recently ripped her conservative colleagues on live television over the Trump tariffs.
And you also see headlines like Walmart raising prices up to 51%. They're doing that because they're not going to eat the tariff. They're going to pass it on to you.
And that was the lone liberal on Fox News, Jessica Tarlov, ripping conservative co-host Jesse Waters.
15% thing is great because it's small enough where the importers here will eat the tariff and not pass on the price hike. But it's big enough, because that's what they're already doing, but it's big enough to make U.S. industry more competitive.
Every trade war that we are engaging in, Donald Trump brought that one up himself, except for China. China is the one that you really have an issue with, but we essentially had favored nations with the EU being about 1% import. So 15% is a lot more than 1%. And I rarely say that I wish somebody else would take my seat, at least for this segment, but I wish Charlie Gasparino was sitting here right now to explain to Jesse again how tariffs work, because it is a tax on the American consumer.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Bob, who wrote, "I love Jessica Tarlov. She is always speaking truth to the corrupt Trump administration." Indeed. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump's latest banana republic move of firing the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics for reporting facts that Donald Trump didn't like. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.